Hello, and welcome to the newest episode of the Drive Home Podcast. I'm your host, and this one is a bit different. That is the point. Let's drive this podcast home. So, this one is a bit different because, well, I'm basically probably going to be uploading it as soon as I get home. And the reason for that is because of the importance of this. So, yada yada yada, I was at work, now I'm going home. Doesn't matter. Not important. At least here on this podcast that I do, I don't talk about politics or anything. And that was a conscious choice I made because it's alienating to audiences, even though I don't really have one. And it was just like, why not talk about something that, is better? Not everyone likes politics anyway. I don't exactly enjoy politics or whatever, but it's kind of like a requirement of being an adult to just know what's going on. But, yeah, I'm breaking that rule because this is important. So, it is September 14th, 2025. And it is a little bit after 8. So, those of you who know, well, I guess for those of you who don't know, or this isn't as big of a thing in the future, or it's harder to remember when it happened, on the 10th, I believe, so 4 days ago, it was a Thursday. Sorry, no, it was a Wednesday. It was a Wednesday when Charlie Kirk was shot dead for simply being a political activist, like right-wing conservative. He was shot and he died. I had maybe seen like a couple of his things here and there. And if I'm being real, at least right now, I would consider myself right-wing or conservative to some extent. Like, it's hard to explain. Like, I guess in a sense I'm centrist. I don't know. Not to get into it, but, I think, trans people, gay people, lesbians, whatever good for you, whatever. I don't care. I don't really have many friends of other ethnic backgrounds, but it's not like I am specifically racist or anything, as far as I'm aware. But, I work with people who aren't white, and, just to be clear, I am white, so. But yeah, no, I've, ever since the beginning of this year, pretty much. So, when Trump started his second term, it was then that I sort of got into politics in America, which is where I live, so it works out. I've been I haven't really been into politics before. I'm just saying, I'd hear snippets here and there, because I was like, well, why did people love this guy so much? Because I, like a lot of people in my area, suffer from TDH, Trump-Turner syndrome. And I was cured because I actually started looking stuff up, watching videos, actually looking into this stuff, looking into what he said, not just hearing it being called, evil or whatever, and hearing it through that scope. I listened to what he said directly, and I made my own choices based off of that. And that was a thing for me. This whole part is a side right now, but it's a side bit. But just generally, the whole, like, when he was first, I just liked making fun of him because he had orange face makeup or whatever. I just thought that was funny. And then all this stuff came out about him, and it was like, oh geez, I don't know. I mean, why would the media lie to us? Because I was in middle school when that happened. I was like, oh man, why would they lie? It must be true. Very easy to fall for that stuff when you have no idea what's going on. And you just believe whatever you hear, see on TV, or get parroted. It's very easy. But, I'm basically right-wing now, and my parents were both conservative, which I didn't really realize. So, my mother... So... blah blah blah. I figured out right before Trump got elected the second time that my dad was a conservative, and I figured out that my mother was conservative around the first time Trump got elected. But this isn't about Trump. This is about Charlie Kirk and what he stood for. I had maybe seen a couple of his videos here and there beforehand, and I had watched like one or two videos the day before it happened, which was just terrifying to me. And if you go online right now, or if you can specifically filter specific times in the future, you can see what was posted like on the internet during a specific window of time. You will see that for the majority of this past week, there's just this massive, like, Charlie Kirk's name is everywhere. You can't really get around it in most places. And a lot of it is negative. Even though he's dead. Like, I don't understand that. Like, yeah, technically, I agree with some of the things that he said. I agree with a decent amount of things that he said, retroactively. I haven't really heard everything. I can't purposefully just say everything. But, I think, like, generally speaking, Christian values is what America was based off of. And Christian values is one of the big reasons that there was two sides in the fight for to stop slaves. And not a lot of people know this, but Christians were big, setting the slaves free people, because they believe that everyone is created in God's image. And so, in that sense, just because you were black, it didn't mean you needed to be a slave, I guess. I don't really know the specifics, but I do know that most Christians fought against the South. But since America was majority Christian for a long time, there were Christians on both sides, I'm sure. And I don't know, like, people are misconstruing like everything he's saying, and saying that he deserved to die, and saying that they have empathy, which is a word I now hate. They say they have empathy for his kids and stuff, but not him. No, not, and sometimes not his wife. Sometimes his wife. And I literally saw a comment that just was so horrible. Like, I've just started to. I guess it's a good thing that this happened at some point for me, because I tend to spend a lot of time on social media, though I use Reddit, but I like to use Reddit because it's 90% like memes and like 10% video game stuff. Well, it was. It's like what is it, like 50% memes, 30% video game stuff that I like, and then I don't know, like 20% politics now, which is just great. And the only reason I really use Reddit is for the memes and the video game information, since I have to go on Reddit often enough for it to help with that stuff anyway. But I don't know, it's just this whole thing with people basically condoning his death, being happy that he's celebrating his death, is just so horrible. Like, like, he was peaceful. Like, he never, like, sure, if people wanted to misconstrue his words and commit violence in his name, that could happen. But that can happen about anyone. Sorry, there's some kind of police going by or something. I was paying attention to that, but I don't know. It's just, even if you don't like the guy or his politics and you think he's essentially the devil, he died practicing freedom of speech. So if you are celebrating this, you are essentially saying it's okay to kill someone that I don't agree with. So literally anyone and everyone is now a target. I'm sure siblings especially, just make an example of, one person doesn't agree with the other person a lot of the time. I have a brother, so I'm well aware of this fact. But, maybe someone's gonna, it's whatever, like, there is a sense of separation, but it's not big enough. You can't just say, I'm glad that he's dead, he was horrible, I feel bad for his family though. No. Like, you're basically celebrating that he died. Like, if you don't have anything nice to say, and by anything, I mean, if you're going to be exclusive with your empathy, you can go shove it and just not say anything at all. That is infinitely better than saying anything negative. If you're going to say anything negative, just shut up. Really, please. Like, the internet is supposed to be a good place. It's not, because a lot of people suck, honestly. There are pedophiles, there are stalkers, there are creepy people, there's all sorts of evil people out in the world. But you're just, have some human decency, and instead of talking ill of the dead, just shut up. It's not that hard. Just go do something else. Anything else. Go back to, talking about Trump and the Epstein files, which, I don't really like how Trump's handling the Epstein files. It's really crappy. So, just go back talking about that, That's, at least that feels like you're contributing something. It's just so sickening. It's so sickening. But, it's just, and I didn't want to say, I could have I could have done this right, like, the day after, but they hadn't caught the guy. I didn't want to say anything. And it doesn't really matter, like, which political side, you know, the shooter was on. There is no excuse, zero excuse for a political murder, a politically motivated murder, because the guy was saying things that you didn't agree with. Zero. And the only way to de-escalate the only way to de-escalate what's happening in America we're seeing a lot more radical people on both sides. And if you deny that your side is getting more radical, you're probably one of the radicals. Or you're just stupid and are blind and can't see what's right in front of you. So, let me just say that an awful comment I saw was that Charlie Kirk's kids are better off now that he is dead. That is so sickening and so awful. There are no words. There are no words. I'm not great at words, but I think in this specific instance, there are no words. It's not that I can't say anything. It's that there is nothing to say. And it's downright awful to say. And to all you people who are, you know, or who were celebrating his death or are celebrating his death, just keep this in mind. The left is now losing people because of this. And they will continue to lose people because of this. Until the only people left are the radicals. And let me tell you, the only way to de-escalate radicals is for both sides to, you know, talk to each other about it. And to rationalize or compromise or something. Charlie Kirk wasn't a politician, necessarily. I don't really know what the word politician means by definition, but he was, you know, he was an avid Christian. He was really into, you know, Christianity and stuff. He was really, and so it's just, he's like, you know, he was peaceful. He never talked down to anyone that he was, you know, having I don't want to say argument, because that makes it sound wrong. He was having a debate with. That's the right word. He never talked down. He let them say what they want to say, and he responded, and they could respond. And he was killed. And he was definitely one of the, or I honestly, Charlie Kirk was the best, you know, representative of the Conservative Party in a sense, or just, you know, right-leaning people. He was, you know, I mean, he was staunch in his views, but he was a good person. And now he's gone. And it doesn't really matter who killed him. I personally think that the guy is on the left. I don't think he's a right-wing groiper or whatever the terminology is. I think he was left. And even if he was right, extreme right, it doesn't matter. He died for using his freedom of speech, and that's not okay. And anyone who celebrates his death, you're not okay. You need help. Because you don't just celebrate somebody dying who you don't celebrate an innocent man's death. it's just wrong. This whole situation is so crazy. I just don't even know what to say. It's hard to find the words. It really is. I was shocked when I heard the news. And I think I still am. It almost always, in these types of situations, it almost always feels like I could be asleep and this could be all a dream. At any moment, I'll wake up and everything will be back to the way it was before and everything will be okay. But it's not. So, all I can say is, because I'm assuming it's mostly left-wing people, if I'm honest. I'm assuming it's mostly extremists on the left side, but there's a lot of people on the internet who are left, who are just rationalizing his murder, rationalizing, saying it's okay, even saying it was warranted, saying he deserved it, and it's just so awful. Just stop. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it. Have some sympathy. Not empathy, sympathy. It's a much, much better. And, for anyone who's right, I'm sure you're all aware of this, but it's sad. I just, there are no words. There are none. Thank you all for listening. Have a great next 24 hours if you didn't justify or otherwise condone his death. Bye.